afternoon, good evening, and if you catch us on the replay, good morning, and welcome to the Ambassador awaiting the Council of One's Babylon 5 review. And of course, I am your host, the Ambassador, and with me today I've got my fellow council members, Deanna Wolf, Mountain Elysium, Classic Comics, Zod Rider, and we are expecting Lord Koj here shortly. And to everyone in the chat, Bureau 31, Lewis X Sparrow, and Fiona Wolf, being Fiona Wolf as always, being her Fionist self.
I'm Florida woman.
Thank you all for tuning in today. And today we are going to be breaking down the episode Voices of Authority. So I have done my thing. My fellow council members, let us begin. Let's get going.
More people should respect Ivanova's authority.
And immediately, Fiona is muted. And she muted herself.
Yes, I do.
Damn it!
Because I'm drinking.
Well, that was a good statement, though. I mean, Ivanova does, should have respected authority. Absolutely.
This is true, because she is a strong, independent woman that needs no man, except she needed Marcus. She needed Marcus in her life. She should have boffed him at least once. I can't believe I just made that joke.
But the thing is, he truly was her unicorn. That poor man.
Yes, it is true. But that's another topic for another stream. For voices, words, put them string them together, form a sentence, and it becomes a sentence. Voices of Authority. Very interesting episode and a lot to dig into, so we can start with the main plot line, or we can delve into Ivanova going to Epsilon 3 and then going toe-to-toe with the first one vessel, the Walkers of Sigma 957. So, my fellow council members, let's dig in. Where do you want to get going?
I like the fact that Ivanova has best timing, even with Drawl's machine. Good luck, Captain. You're about to go where everyone's gone before. Woo!
And a little bit of a Star Trek reference. Which begs the question, was that a subtle dig at Star Trek and Deep Space Nine?
You know what? I think in the Babylon 5 universe, Star Trek is just a TV show.
And that is entirely a possibility. Hey, Koj, the link is in the chat room that you're a part of. All you got to do is scroll up a little bit, bud. So.
Oh, and Sheridan's reaction, oh, it's a bit cold in here. And it's like, she must have gotten a little bit perky. Uh-oh.
You have to wonder, that might be because they're not paying the maintenance budgets. You've seen that happen from many seasons. They're just not maintaining that station. That poor woman must have been roasting.
Possibly.
And Zach was like, oh, here's I'm interested in you, lady. And she's like, your jacket doesn't fit, Mr. Allen.
Yeah, and that was actually a running gag because the guy who played Jeff Conway, who played Zach Allen, he's like, my costume never fit right, and I hate it. I mean, even the beginning of the episode, he's talking to Garibaldi, and Garibaldi's like, dude, I got other things to worry about than your uniform. Take care of it yourself. You're a grown man.
But it's interesting that it's also that he doesn't fit in anywhere. He doesn't fit in. Certainly that he's not true Night Watch.
Well, a little anecdote from when I interviewed Jerry Doyle. He told me that the uniforms were always uncomfortable.
I can imagine.
Kind of like putting on a tux for a guy, right? Like, oh boy, it looks snazzy, but is it? It's quite stiff, probably.
Well, I'll say it. I thought honestly the uniform change from the Earth Force uniforms to the other uniforms, whatever you want to call them, I thought actually those the non-Earth Force uniforms looked a little more comfortable than the Earth Force ones. But then again, what do I know?
And Zach got the same gag with that. They're poking me.
Yeah, but funny, I think in that one it says there's nothing wrong with your uniform. It fits, doesn't it? And he did say, I just don't want to take over from the chief. So the idea of the uniform not fitting and Zach not fitting, it kind of goes with his character too.
Exactly. That's a great point.
And here he is. Never call him late except for dinner. Lord Koj. Koj, how you doing, bud?
Hey, I'm glad to be out of hyperspace. Thank you.
What's up, Koj?
Problems at the jump gate.
That's okay.
Hey.
It happens. Just make sure. Just remember these sage words. The ambassador is always right. I will listen to the
I don't
ambassador.
question Vorlon.
Oh man, I'm trying to remember. Was this the episode where Drawl made the joke? It's like, I like you, you're trouble. And Vaughn
Yes,
was
it
like,
was.
that's the nicest
Yes,
thing
we
somebody
did.
said.
We get an appearance by the delightful and charming John Schnook. Or Shook.
Yes,
What- have
John
a way for-
Shook.
John Shook. So he didn't shake, and he isn't shaken, he shook. Dad joke, and I'm not even
Yes.
a dad.
Oh, and I did like the fact that at first I was like, well, you're kind of still inside the great machine. He's like, oh, I must remember to dust myself off every once in a while.
Yes. Well, we're going to let Fiona have the floor a little bit because she's going to have to leave us early because, well, she has a little thing called work. So, Fiona, we'll yield the floor for you. Go ahead and make your comments about the episode before you have to leave, and then we'll just bounce off of everything you say.
Well, another thing that I found funny was that the darn lovely monitor of Earth Force goodness and morale was like, oh, we have to make sure to put Earth's best foot forward, when even Sheridan brings up like, things aren't too happy back home. What about the homeless problem? What homeless problem? And then, of course, all the stuff with Ivanova and finding, out that she's a latent telepath in some ways because the machine picked up on it and let her see what happened to Earth Force One. And Joel's like, it shouldn't have been able to do that. Not with a normal mind. So that's why I really enjoyed about this episode. And the fact that you get to see a little bit more of what's going to come ahead for Zach and Night Watch. It's like, uh-oh, it's starting to get really ugly.
Yeah, and can we just say that Ivanova has a delightful yet abnormal brain?
Yes, she might not even be rated P1, but she had just enough admiralty to bring in like, oh crap, we got the president right by his nose hairs, and you can even hear Morden in the background talking to him like, oh, the presidency is yours, Mr. Like Clark. Like, uh-oh, he got off for a reason. It's not pleasant.
Yeah, and Bureau 31 Peace Witch, or maybe he's trying to say Peace Watch. Yeah, Night Watch is anything but peaceful, and they're definitely not a watch. They're more like a extremely overt surveillance, like. And I'll say
They're
this:
very Orwellian. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, that's it's kind of. It's like Straczynski looked into the future and is like, or maybe he looked into the past. Maybe it's both. And he was like, how do I want the Night Watch to talk? Oh, yeah, I know. Like a certain group from the 1930s. They got their ass kicked in the 1940s.
Although I think the blonde-haired lady, I think she's been on the show before as other characters. Because her voice
wasn't
sounds.
She in that episode where they I forget the name of the episode escapes me right now, but the episode where Sinclair has to settle the labor dispute.
No. That girl was shorter, and that was a different person.
Yeah, that was a different actress altogether. Not to mention that actress was actually that character was rather nice. This Masante, Julian, I think her first name was Miss Masante. And okay, I don't know if this was supposed to be deliberate, but does anybody find it creepy that she's a part of an organization called Night Watch and she has blonde hair? Just saying.
Well, that was probably a studio mandate.
All right, Zod, cut it out. Anyway, Elysium Classic. Y'all been kind of quiet. I know we're trying to give Finn a chance and everything, but any thoughts on anything we brought up so far?
I think sorry. Fire away, Classic.
Sorry. I was just going to say that the whole, when Ivanova is in the machine and as a Drawl says that that shouldn't happen with a normal human mind. Watching this now, I had completely missed that when I had watched it originally, that him suggesting she doesn't have a normal human mind, because I don't think they had revealed yet that she... Oh, wait, I guess they did, didn't they? That she's a telepath?
With Talia.
Yeah.
At least a little bit, yeah.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
you didn't really get a sense of how strong she was.
Yeah, I hadn't made that connection before, so that was a little bit of a surprise to me.
Well, the machine also enhances your abilities, too.
I think, was it Zatra says in a later episode that even Drawl doesn't know all the machine's capabilities. So I think, despite what Drawl thinks, and you can kind of guess you might consider him a little arrogant, but he didn't know the machine was capable of that. And I wonder what would happen if Bester got into that machine with his ability.
Oh boy.
I wouldn't want to.
The whole universe would be in danger.
Well, that and the shadows and everybody else that was more like kind of telepathic would probably be able to pick up on him quicker.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, and I don't
because they weren't, because wasn't her probing also sending out signals of her using the machine, like they could pick up on it?
Yep, but it wasn't
kind of like
as
how you
fast.
feel a wave.
Yep, she had time to pull away.
Yeah,
because she went to Sigma 957, but for some reason, the shadows showed up there, and we don't exactly understand why. Unless it was something that Drawl said when he says, "Focus on the most ancient of ancients." Well, we find out that in fact we know from Delen's little monologues about the first ones that the shadows are in fact older than any of the other ancient races, except maybe for Lorian's race. So, so it makes it. Go ahead, Elysium, please.
No, I was just thinking. I often wondered why Drawl didn't reach out himself, because he was in the machine, and says, "Well, why didn't he go trying to contact the first ones?" But I had to think, well, maybe it's because he still wanted to keep the machine somewhat secret, and like it showed the shadows were able to sense the machine, so maybe he needed someone who he thought wouldn't be connected with the machine to make the contact, to still keep that as a ace in the hole. But
yeah, I was thinking about that too. Sorry.
I was never kind of sure, and I don't think it was ever explained why. Now, it did make sense, and it was great within the show that it showed Ivanova's ability and the machine enhancing what she had, but for a while, it never really made sense to me why Drawl just didn't do it in the first place. I've been trying to kind of headcanon the answer in.
Well,
that's a good point. I think it's more just about giving Ivanova something to do, really.
well,
I've thought about that too, and sorry, go on, Miss.
No.
Sorry.
I just want to get one other thing in before I have to go. But the shadow, I think both the Vorlons and the shadows had kind of a symmetry with each other. So, because you'll get a sense from the other first ones that they're really ticked off at the Vorlons over something, like I guess from the first Shadow War. So I'm guessing all the first ones, or at least from a certain point from Lorien, basically know of each other, and they just don't decide to interact because of whatever happened in the past. Because Marcus and Ivanova had to basically bully the Sigma aliens into helping them.
It's like a big family feud is what it's like,
Pretty much.
Like the Vorlons and it's like they've been described. The Vorlons and the Shadows were described like, I think at some point, like parents, like mom and dad, kind of essentially, like in the way that they're fighting. And I kind of look at them like two uncles that are like rivaling each other.
That's a bad analogy either. So
I kind of looked at the Vorlons in the shadows as kind of like the younger generation of the older generation that moved on, but to us, they are the older generation.
Yeah.
And actually, I think the term like the first ones refers to as the universe gets older, we become like in a billion years, races who evolved then will look back on us and see no difference between, let's say, humans, shadows, Vorlons, because we'll all be in around the same level. So the first ones as a term is ever evolving. More as more and more races reach that.
That's actually a pretty astute observation there, Elysium. Yeah.
Actually, sorry, I was thinking there because JMS referred to when Ivanova was taunting the walkers. He said the walkers referred to said it. I'm trying to find the exact quotation here. Yes, was it the Vorlans Tavna Chog? It means the Vorlans can kiss my ass. That was what they basically said back to Ivanova.
Wow.
So that is what Zog means?
Yep.
No,
No,
it was
Zog
the
means no.
no. And then when she insulted them, they came back and started screaming, Vorlans, was it? Yeah. Tavunta Chog. And then that means the Vorlans can kiss my ass. Then they went quiet and said, yeah, come back and call our name and we'll come back.
Yeah,
so basically Ivana's
sorry. Yeah, because Lorien wanted to gather up everybody, to send them on their way, so that way the new races could inherit everything.
The only problem with that is, how in the hell did Lorien not know about the Drock?
He probably did.
Well, the Drock was a concept that hadn't really been fleshed out well enough yet. That's the only reason.
And even there, the Drock was always like kind of low key.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this is Lorien. He's the eldest of the first ones. He's like he was.
Maybe they're ants to him.
This is a being who was the first sentient being in the entire cosmos ever.
Well, even they can have blinders, because now that I'm writing my own stuff, you have to basically build in something where they're not completely omnipresent, where they can see everything all at once, because otherwise it wouldn't give the younger races something to do, or even like throw themselves against, because if Lorien could just come in and snap his fingers with everything, what kind of story would you have?
Well, I'm not saying that he gets involved, but he just he's like warns them or something. Like, hey guys, the shadows, they had people working for them, so you might want to keep an eye out. Just saying.
I think he kind of tried to, but even at one point when Sheridan's in Zahadum with them, he's saying eventually all the first ones or the elder races stopped visiting him. So they all knew where he was at, but they just came to pay him like lip service every once in a while.
I think he said something at one point about how they have servants, or some who serve them or something like that. He never uses the term Drock specifically.
Yeah, that's true.
Come up until and Straczynski may just not have had a name for him at that point.
Yeah, that's
that's what I was thinking. Yeah,
that makes sense.
They were a concept, but there was just no name. I agree with that. I think they went. Who knows what the different names they were trying to come up with.
Oh yeah, I can tell you right now, even from what I'm writing, sometimes you have the idea that you want, but you don't have a name for it until later. So I'm guessing that's what the Drock really was. They had servants, but he didn't put it into paper or on the screen until later when season 4 became season 5. Because the whole time he was doing that series, he never knew if he'd get renewed. Mm-hmm. So you guys have fun.
All right. See you later, Fiona. Have a good one.
Yep.
Take care.
Fiona. Have a good one.
Bye, Fiona.
See you later.
Thank God the chick is gone. I'm kidding. I kid. I kid. Fiona, if you catch this, I'm kidding. Please don't go cancel. Let's go cancel Ambassador. He said chick.
But I don't mind backtracking because what you were saying,
Sure.
Elysium. I had that same thought for years about like why Drawl when use the capabilities, the maximum capabilities, or he's still discovering. And I think that key word, because Drawl doesn't know Ivanova's telepathic levels, and like not for a normal mind, and she's always secretive, so I don't think she would even tell him, even though he's not anything to do with Earth or Psychor. I still think that she's going to keep it secret. So I think Drawl has limitations because he has any level of telepathy, and I think that's what gave her the edge that he didn't foresee or anyone foresee. I don't even think Ivanova foresaw that she would be able to do that. So I think that was just like a happy accident that adds to the mysteries of like the machine and how it could work even more. So maybe like that was like a little thing for the future or other stories to follow.
Yeah, and that's entirely possible because we don't know a whole lot about the great machine of Epsilon 3. We know that it has obviously defense capabilities for the facility itself. We know from a two-parter that we'll get into here in a few weeks, War Without Ends, Part 1 and 2. It's able to open temporal rifts. We know that it can pretty much, it's like an astral projection machine, like on steroids. So, actually, and I'll bring up Excelsior Domains question here because this I think is a nice one to dig into. Was it ever established who built the Great Machine? Did JMS ever say anything to that bit of world building or not?
It was the race that that was in Voice in the Wilderness. It was their race built the machine, and the Last Guardian was pretty much one of the last of their race left. But they were never kind of on Vorlon level, but they were extremely technologically advanced, I believe was the lore.
Okay. They could have been the ones that did all the grunt work to build machines for Vorlons, and they picked up a few things along the way. Anything can happen.
Well, they established that the machine was built about 500 years in the B5 timeline, so we don't... It's weird trying to figure out time frames within fictional timelines. I mean, you can do it, but it takes a lot of math, and unfortunately, math has never been my strong suit. So, let's just say from whatever point in history, it's been there longer than since the human race got into space. If you want to use Earth time, 500 years from 2259 would be 500 years past that or before that would be. So
about the time
we were. Go ahead.
American Revolution. Yeah, just before the American Revolution. So that's around the time it was built. When you rebelled against your overlords across the pond.
Yes.
No, the French-Indian War just before that would have been around. Yeah, the French-Indian War. So
I still think that the Great Machine at Epsilon was made by people who work for maybe the Vorlons, because the Minbari were in charge of like this, like executive decisions with Babylon 5, and they chose that area of space specifically close to that one, and they've been using it to their advantage eventually for War Without End and against the Shadows. So I still have this inkling feeling that it is Vorlon connected, because just so the Shadows have like associates or allies, I'm guessing the Vorlons would have the same, but they're so secret that I think it would be minimal. That maybe even the people working for the Vorlons probably don't even know that they're working for the Vorlons. I just can't help but feel it's
The Vorlons. I agree with you, Koj. It's like the Vorlons got it like that. They'll have people working for them without them even knowing.
That's why they always appear as these ethereal beings in the past to help nations move on. It's kind of like, like in Star Trek Next Generation, not to bounce, but they had like a strict rule to not interfere with cultures and
the
beings
Prime Directive,
that,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right, that they didn't get to a certain spot on their own. They don't want to interfere their natural evolution, and I think Vorlons have that same kind of logic because they're all about encouraging, not like stoking the fires like the Shadows. That both work in secrecy. So,
but see, what the thing about the Vorlons is the Vorlons are like crap starters. Like they'll come out and say stuff and say all this cryptic stuff, and then either you get what they're saying or you don't. And then they just kind of move on, whether you're interested and whether you understand the gravity of it or not. So
that's how I give advice to my friends, really.
I can see how a lot of like races would be struggling with the Vorlons as a whole because of the way that they are, because of the cryptic nature of the way they operate. So
yeah,
I love it because in a weird cryptic way, it's like encouraging thought-provoking thoughts.
Yes.
Like, okay, you got to figure out the riddle first,
right?
Then you'll understand the answer. Whereas the Shadows, they just want you to fight.
Yeah,
and go for their first instinct without thinking.
I mean, they really are. It's like the Vorlons and the Shadows really are the yin and the yang of each other, for real.
Mm-hmm. Very true. Well, and the interesting thing for me with the whole issue of the Great Machine and Ivanova discovering that transmission, it really opens a can of worms back home. And it really gives them an out to get Masante off the station. Because let's be honest, if she had been there, they would have been so severely hamstrung, it wouldn't have even been funny. And okay, I hope most everybody will get this reference. If you don't, that's cool. Who else got the vibe of a political officer from, say, Hunt for Red October, with the officer that slipped on some tea? Quote unquote.
Dude, totally.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
That was a tragic accident.
I remember doing this. I remember reviewing that movie. I love that movie to death. But yeah. A political yeah, it is. A political officer
is pure Marxism.
Yes.
Oh, please, yes. Pretty much. And even the devil wears a pleasing shape or a pleasing face, and well, she's not bad looking, but man, is her personality absolutely vile. Oh, we don't have any problems. Earth is all peachy keen and wonderful.
But it's funny what she tells Sheridan. Actually, we're just rewriting the dictionary to suit our agenda. She still believes that Sheridan is completely on board. So the line, you can see him getting ready to, I think as Excelsior mentions, like, faulty airlock her. But he didn't realize she's really dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, I think, was it, I can't remember, was it JMS mentioned or someone mentioned that Ivanova when they found that and released that on Earth, that pushed Clark's agenda up because he had to seize power before he was removed. And that's why she was withdrawn from the station, to pull his inner circle around him so they could actually make the coup to create the dictatorship.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why they were able to, in one way, they got her off the station, but it pushed Clark's agenda up and made things much worse.
Yeah, unfortunately. But if you think about it,
you guys think it would have been better off if she would have had to stay posted at Babylon 5?
I wonder, could Kasha been, or Lita being used to implant some message in her mind, like
Right.
Gary Winters did with Bester, where he imagined himself killing all the other telepaths, but nothing actually happened. They may have done something similar with her.
It's a distinct possibility, but well, the thing is, it would have been extremely easy with her because she's a non-telepath. She's just a norm. She's a, as well, Bester calls them, a mundane, a normie, or whatever.
Yes.
So, yeah, they could have tinkered with her brain any number of ways if they really wanted to, and have had her leave. So, but I think for the purpose of the story and the storyline going through the entire series, at least up until season 4, the fact that everything goes completely haywire with that footage being released and investigations going on, and Clark having to recall all his people and be like, oh crap, we're screwed. How can we turn this to our advantage? Yeah, it kind of, that's the one good thing, that's the one impressive thing about Straczynski as a writer. He always seems to leave himself an out. Even if he seems to have written himself into a corner with a character or a situation, he leaves himself an out. And that's something I've kind of taken to heart with my own story. I try to leave myself some sort of out, just in case I do write myself into a corner, which I'm trying very strongly not to do. But sometimes it does happen.
Straczynski has a really good book about screenwriting. I forgot the title because he's done a few books.
Yes,
but it's phenomenal.
I have that. I have that book.
Came out in the 2000s.
It's it's actually a really, really great book, and it actually shows all the steps of writing a script, and it's really amazing.
But not just any script, but for world building. I think he really has it down.
Yes.
Which not anyone can write, So that's a real testament.
Yeah. I use that book. I used that book when I wrote my Babylon 5 script. I followed those guidelines. I was like, well, he's got all this stuff here. It really is invaluable if you could find it. I can't remember the name of it though. I think it's called something like The Guide to Writing or something.
It's something
Babylon
like that. It sounds very instructional.
Like yeah.
But it's fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah, and Excelsior's domain, he brings up a lot of good points. Actors do leave, pass away, so he had to have some outs. Yeah, I mean, and it's a prime example is, of course, the issue with Michael O'Hare, Commander Sinclair. Mm-hmm. So, and yeah, Excelsior domain, he's so smart, it is scary. Yes. Some of the best writers are incredibly bright. But, the one thing that he is able to do is, in just one single scene, really ramp up the tension and really establish the stakes, because when she has that meeting with the members of Night Watch, oh my gosh. She might as well have had a little black and red armband on, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, and a certain flag behind her instead of the banner of the Night Watch. Because good grief. It's just absolutely. Go ahead, Elysium, please.
I suppose even for some of them that have gone, damn, you're going too far. She was, the Night Watch is pretty scary. I think JMS said that for that scene, the director walked around and told some of the extras look uncomfortable, but told the rest just act as if you're on board. So it really, you could see when you look around the room, there were a few people looking really, this is bad. Because, I mean, up until now, Zach, they were saying you're paying me 50 extra credits a week. And I got out the inflation calculator. In today's money, that's $137.50 per week that the Night Watch are paying. So if they can have that sort of resources in a station that is pretty much strapped for cash, that's a big incentive for some to come on board, and why some people would go along with the Night Witch just to keep that money, not because they agreed with their ideology. But yeah, that's an extra 137 a week. That's a lot of money.
That's a
go
very
on-
Zach Allen logic too.
yeah.
And hey,
I,
hey,
I put a link to the
Yeah.
J. Michael Straczynski book in the private chat if anybody
yeah, and
is interested in checking it out.
Yeah, I'm gonna post it in the private and the public chat. Yeah, thank you for sharing that, bud. Appreciate it. So anybody that's
Yep.
interested in script writing and want to learn it from a pro, J. Michael Straczynski, one of the best. So come on.
Yeah,
That's
they
it.
got an Oscar nomination
That's
for
the book.
Changeling.
So
Say
what were
one
you saying,
more time,
Alicia?
Plastic?
I'm sorry.
Straczynski wrote a movie called The Changeling, and he got an Oscar nomination for it.
Oh yeah, the one with Angelina Jolie. That was great. I saw it just for JMS.
Yeah, that was the biggest draw for that movie for sure. The writing.
Well, Straczynski has always been a top-notch writer. I mean, he used to write for comic books, for heaven's sake.
He did Superman Year One, or Earth One. Sorry.
He did it. Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
The Earth. Yeah, that was actually a pretty good story too. That was his own like retelling of the Superman mythology. It even had didn't Zod and Kandor make an appearance in that too? If I remember.
It was another kind of Kryptonian, but
some other alien race. I forget what they were.
Yeah. But the art and the narration of I read that one for the first time before I saw Man of Steel, and before that I read like Superman Godfall and For Tomorrow. So that has been like those graphic novels got me set up for that movie, even though I think Straczynski doesn't like Man of Steel, but whatever. But I saw a lot of similarities with all that together right before, and JMS's
that'd be
Superman
odd
book was what I read right before Man of Steel.
That'd be odd for him not to like Man of Steel, considering all of the similarities that his first book shared with Man of Steel.
Yeah, She-Ra even. No, I totally feel you. Yeah, he even wrote for He-Man, and what's cool is that he wrote it's one of the best episodes of Masters of the Universe, where He-Man had to fight this god or this being protector from the underworld called Morgoth. And then when you watch season 1, Londo says, God and protector of the underworld, when he's drunk, and he says Morgoth, and it's the same name and the same title of a god from Masters of the Universe in Babylon 5. So it's kind of cool seeing that.
But the thing you have to realize, Koj, Straczynski was borrowing from Tolkien, because Morgoth was the name of the essentially the devil.
Right, that's right.
We also have, on another note, just to add to the, to the mythology and the world building, Koj, that you mentioned, the idea, there was a show based on like an interactive video. Well, it wasn't really a video game. It was more like a board game and a video back in the 80s called Captain Power.
Yes, I had that. I had the action figures.
J. Michael Straczynski wrote several episodes of Captain Power, and Babylon 5 is actually mentioned by name in Captain Power.
What?
Power first.
Yes, he did. He did Captain Power first, but they actually mentioned Babylon 5 by name.
Holy cow!
Dang, Captain Power has some cool armor.
That just goes to show you how far back, he was sort of, doing the building blocks for Babylon 5, because back then, he had all the ideas and stuff for Babylon 5, but the fact that Babylon 5 was actually mentioned in Captain Power, when I actually watched that episode and heard Babylon 5 mentioned by name, I nearly fell out of my chair. I'm like, wow, really?
Oh my gosh, I gotta check that out. It's been years. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I never had any of the toys, although I wanted some. I did have a set of Captain Power bed sheets though when I was a kid.
Hey,
I had the actual game, like the board game, and it came with like a VHS tape.
Yep.
And you would put
Didn't you shoot at the TV too with it?
Yep.
Yeah, there was something. Yeah, there was something you did, and then there was like I said, it was like a board game, and you had like. Yeah, it was something. It was definitely unique. Even by today's standards, it would be unique. I'm surprised it hasn't made a comeback in some way.
Well, the
Give it
problem is
time.
with the LED screens, they don't give that reflection off for the laser to hit.
Well, they've got
because
new light guns now. They're called Sindel light guns, and they
Really?
work with LCD screens.
Oh, sweet. Okay. Sorry, I'm just getting younger.
Sorry, OJ, I think
Yes.
we all are a little bit.
Yes,
here.
that's I'm telling you, it's amazing.
Yeah. The thing with Captain Power is you watch the show and some of the toys were interactive. I remember there was one character that was like a metallic type of like bird or whatever. I can't remember the name of it.
Okay,
Man,
I had Captain Power. He had like a golden armor, another dude who had like a silver armor, and then I had a third guy who had like tank armor. Where it's like camouflage or something.
Something like that. Feel the regression.
Yeah. But I kind of lent more towards Silverhawks over Captain Power, so they kind of took my attention when I got into Silverhawks.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
Oh man.
Okay, this stream went off tangent. Well,
this is what happens when we go to Epsilon. We send our minds everywhere, time and space.
That is true. Maybe I need to pull up that use that as a background for when we do the streams. It's like the inside of the Great Machine. That's a reference back to the Great Machine on Forbidden Planet on Altair 6.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
man,
it's pretty much a direct copy of that. In Forbidden Planet, it takes place on this world, and there is this big machine there that was built by an ancient race called the Krell, who have died out.
Yeah,
and even some of the shots are the same.
Yes, and I think that was deliberate because honestly, let's be candid here. Forbidden Planet is a great movie.
Oh
yes.
my God! It's a wonderful movie. Yes.
Not to mention, it's got the appearance of the first fully functional robot, and his name is Robbie.
That's right. Wow.
I'm amazed it didn't somehow shoehorn Robbie into Babylon 5. Just saying.
Well, that robot wound up being used in so many, I think, sci-fi movies and TV shows in the 50s and 60s. I think it was kind of almost a point of parody by the time Babylon 5 was on the air.
Not to mention, he also made an appearance in the first Gremlins movie.
Yeah, I was about to say he pops up in the background in a shot in Gremlins, so that's.
Well, he's not just. When the Father Peltzer, the Billy's dad, is in the phone booth, Robbie's standing right next to him in the shot, and then of course they have next Christmas I am definitely doing a watch party for Gremlins.
Yes,
I gotta put that on the books.
That's a good Christmas film.
It is, but yeah. Yeah, that scene in the dinner scene with Masante and Sheridan, again, Straczynski's ability to write the dialogue and the director to set up the shots or set up the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
It just goes to show that good storytelling is a possibility when you have people that know what the hell they're doing. Because we get very little in terms of what's going on back home. But through scenes and dialogue, we find out just how screwed up Earth is in 2260. I mean, things are getting ugly. Oh, there's no crime. Oh, there's no poverty. Oh, there's no poor. Oh, there's no homeless. We've rewritten the dictionary. We've redefined words. Gee,
yeah,
isn't that all?
I wouldn't
just
be surprised.
Go ahead, Goj.
No, I wouldn't be surprised that there's like an Animal Farm type story going on Earth that is just being flooded with propaganda and stuff. Like even with Night Watch working closely from Clark for Clark, and Clark working with Psychor. Now I'm I think you guys or may not or have read like the Psychor War, that trilogy of books. and they kind of hint in there, or they say it, I forgot when, I haven't read them in a while, that the Psi Corps working so close with the government with free range, by having everyone in Night Watch think of being on the lookout and and being paid to go, hey, so and so said this, so and so said that. That makes it a priority in their mind. So whenever a psychop passes them, because of Clark's influence, they are able to scan them without permission, and they wouldn't know, and pick up on those thoughts and relay messages. Therefore, to make rules to shut down this, imprison this person, or shut down this business faster.
Yeah,
because that information spread around.
Yeah, because the opening scene of the episode is where this officer of security is trying to shut down this little shop owner who's done nothing wrong except post a funny picture of President Clark behind bars. And Sheridan's like, cut it out or I'll suspend your ass. Of course, he didn't actually say that, but I would have said that. And that's because that's me. I'm not much of a diplomat, particularly when it's my own staff. You quit harassing the shop owners. They have a First Amendment right. At least I'm assuming the First Amendment still exists in 2260. At least before President Clark. Just saying. Sorry.
Well, it's Earth law. I don't know if they have the same as U.S. law. I'm imagining, yes, they do.
Well, they do have a constitution, so we don't know what the constitution in Babylon 5 is based on. If it's based on the United States Constitution or anything, because we obviously get the impression that it's called Earth Gov, that it's a government that has jurisdiction over Earth, but every different sectors have their own governments set up. You've got the Russian consortium and so on. So
and Mars,
yeah, obviously, and Mars, and we can. That's the thing about Babylon 5 that we don't have a real good sense of unless it's kind of spelled out in the novels that were written during and after the show's production. Is what the world government is like, how it exactly functions, except for the fact that when Clark declares martial law, everybody's pretty much happy. Yeah.
Or so we think.
Yeah, or as Sheridan puts it, yeah, it's the piece of the gun.
I think you see in a few episodes when Clark goes, destroys the Senate, the ISN, the reporters on it, when he suddenly says, you know what, I can't keep quiet anymore. You can see that the other reporters try and tell him, be quiet, just go along. So they have been going along with the Earth Gov, the propaganda, all the bad things going on, because it hadn't affected them until that point. And suddenly when the guns are outside the door, then they suddenly are able to speak up because it didn't matter anymore. So there is a lot going on Earth that we don't, you know what I'm saying, that there's a lot of people going along with the Clark agenda.
Well, because they have no other choice, really, because you get the impression that people are being disappeared, and either they're being re-educated or they're being planted 6 feet under.
See, for such a drastic change, and I always felt that it was somewhat kind of like a democracy with how Earth Gov worked, especially with like the assassination of Santiago. It kind of reminded me of a JFK thing. Even when they had the vice president sworn in, it looked like they were paying nod to that. So artistically,
yes,
I took that as a clue that Earth Gov was more of a democracy. How it functioned.
That's it. That's the impression that I got too, and I think that's a pretty accurate observation there, Koj. So
I think actually that, as Koji mentioned, the swearing in, that scene when it was shot on the very anniversary of Johnson being sworn in. They said it was really eerie when they were shooting that scene because they had a photograph of that scene, and as it was the anniversary, they said everyone on set was just freaked out by it.
Wow. Oh, wow. And there's more superstition on TV sets and film sets. I'll tell you that. That's true.
Yeah, I can imagine. So.
Oh wow.
But that's the great thing about this series. You can watch it. I've said this before. I'll keep saying it. You can watch it a million times, and every time something new pops up at you. I mean, the revelation that we finally connect the fact that Ivanova's a telepath, and that the machine can amplify her telepathic abilities. Now, imagine what would have happened if Lita Alexander had been plugged into that machine, considering all her augmentation of her telepathic abilities through the Vorlons.
Man, she'd be sending messages to Jason Ironheart.
Yeah,
He'd be like, "What's up?"
Well, not only that, imagine what she could have done during the Shadow War.
Oh,
I mean, they leave her behind on Epsilon 3. They plug her into the Great Machine, and when they go to Coriana 6, she stomps everybody. She stomps the Vorlons. She stomps the Shadows.
mm-hmm.
I mean, as we find out, I think it's in season 5, she's the equivalent of a thermonuclear device, only telepathically. And if you upload the telepath of her level into the Great Machine on Epsilon 3, the war is a cake. Well, okay, I don't want to say it's a cakewalk because maybe even she has her limits. But
Right, but they have a good ace in the hole.
They have a massive ace in the hole, better than either one of the Vorlon or Shadow Planet Killers. I mean, she can basically telepathically crush. They don't even need the other first ones, theoretically.
I would love to have seen her stomping a mud hole in the Shadows and Vorlons.
Hell yeah.
Excelsior's domain. Lita go boom. Yeah, no. Lita doesn't
Lita go
boom.
bada boom.
She makes everybody else go boom.
Actually, I think. Oh, go on.
That's right. Just as I just kind of found out when I was reading up as something you learn new. Straczynski had Ardwright, the guy who voiced Kosh, to voice the first ones, because he said he wanted the first ones all to sound similar or us all to have the same reaction towards them. So that's why he had him voicing it during it, and I thought that was a nice touch.
Or Dwight Chamberlain, isn't that his name?
Yeah, that's the guy.
Yeah, and Lewis Sparrow's comment here. I was hoping when we saw Ivanovan's reaction to the machine, that meant they would do more with her abilities. Yeah, Lewis, I wouldn't disagree with that. And to Bureau 31, what camera? There's no camera.
You know what? Watching this over again, it's all called Voices of Authority, and I'm starting to, now that we're talking and I have this episode fresh in my mind, I'm thinking like, is a theme about the hierarchy of those in authority calling the shots, where the people below actually have a lot more to say. It's like, I feel like this is like a chain of command type of theme, where the people who are calling the shots, they're really focused on what they got to do with the big picture, but there's a underlining theme, I feel, that there are smaller voices that have a lot of impact, because we see Jakar, he's like, yo, you guys are having secret meetings here. I want in. I could probably help. You don't know what I got. And he's telling Garibaldi, where Garibaldi's like, I'm sorry, I don't see how you could help. He's like, well, maybe that's something you need to work on, which is true, because later on, through getting to know Jakar and the Book of Jaquan, they find that telepath little hint against the Shadows. And then that's right before him, but he's too busy with their collective group to even acknowledge the voice of someone outside the group. But then you have Night Watch, who are specifically trying to enforce the voice of Clark through this like propaganda, tyranny, martial law. And then you got that inner circle of Delenn, Sheridan, Rangers, the whole crew of Babylon 5. creating their own voices of authority and keeping everyone out for protection. But at the same time, they're limiting themselves of the smaller voices that can actually help them later on, which they do. And then you even got the theme of voices of authority where the first ones aren't even paying attention to people beneath them, but we need them for the sake of the galaxy and such. And then they're stuck on their voices of authority until Ivana pokes at them. It's like, hey, listen to us too. We got stuff to do. And then to get them to listen, she makes that bluff with the Vorlon's voice of authority. It's like maybe the power and problem is that in this theme is that it's a moment in time where the people in charge could actually do more if they stop limiting the voices of the people under them.
And, you know, Koj, I was actually going to very astute observation across the board. Very, very well said. Yeah. And that is kind of the theme or the thrust of this particular episode. So, and Excelsior Domain kind of reinforces that who has what sort of authority, moral, military, political, conscience. Yeah.
Good question.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and good observation, Koj. So, well done.
Actually, mentioning the Jakar thing, Delenn lies to Jakar, which Nwambari are not supposed to do. When straight out asked, what do you know about Rangers? She says, I know nothing about Rangers. And I think that has all the more poignancy later on when she goes to Jakar and says, yes, I had to lie to you and choose between millions or billions.
Yeah.
So, considering we do know that Nwambari don't lie unless it's for, in their minds, a higher truth or to protect someone else, to do someone honor. Here she was doing it just to protect the secret. Mm-hmm. So this really does affect you. It's all more poignant from who denied Jakar lying to him, saying no, because Garibaldi never lied to him. When he was asked, I want in, Garibaldi pretty much said, yeah, you're not getting in. And if there was something we could do to help you, we would. But
yeah, that's a great point too. And Garibaldi, what the great thing is, you get to see the relationship between Garibaldi and Jakar evolve simply on the basis that Garibaldi never lies to Jakar, and Jakar never forgets that.
Mm-hmm. Very true. So, and go Elysium.
I was saying, and Garibaldi does make a significant contribution to the Book of Jakar later with the coffee stain that is copied in every copy, Narn copy after that.
Yeah, very true. And just a quick shout out to the chat, Sci-Fi Nation, Sci-Fi, good to see you, bud. I know it's been a while, so thank you for popping in. Missed you. Here's Coach A. So,
sorry, Netwatch pulled me aside.
Oh,
oh, does that mean you're going to be censored now?
We'll find out in next episodes to come. There is a PPG out of my head at the moment, so I'll be tame.
Oh my goodness! So, well, fellas, anything else about this episode we want to that we haven't covered? Anything of interest that we didn't dissect down to its microscopic level?
I suppose just one small thing for me that while Garibaldi was much more conciliatory towards Jakar, when Zach comes looking to him for help, he's really snarky and pushes him away. And you can see by that action, just by Zach is a good guy, and had Garibaldi just taken a moment to be more, you know what, Zach, I can see the position you're in, but I can't do anything to help you. Zach may not have gone as far into the Night Watch as he did. We'll see it in a few episodes' time. He's the one handing out armbands when they take over the station. And that goes to say, when you're dealing with someone, you've got not to be kind of black and white and push people away, push people into boxes. You wore that armband, so you're automatically bad. Zach wasn't, and a lot of people in the room with Zach weren't bad either. They were just going along because they thought this might help, or this is 50 extra credits a week, or $137, whatever it is now.
Yeah.
So it goes to show you can't, if you pigeonhole somebody, you push them into a box, and that can cause greater problems. And Sheridan earlier in the episode told Zach to get out of the room before he confronted Masante. Had Zach been in the room, Masante would not have had anywhere to back down to, because she was able to back down to placate Sheridan. But had he confronted her in front of Zach, she'd have had to bring the full boot and full authority down on top of him. So Sheridan handled it correctly. Garibaldi didn't.
Mm-hmm. That goes with the theme, the consequences of having a voice in authority.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, and Louis Sparrow brings up Garibaldi was angry, though he knew Zach wasn't on board with it. So, yeah, very true. And yeah, they will need, they have a few episodes, they'll definitely need Zach in there.
Well, but then again, Garibaldi and Zach were friends. So like Elysium was saying, if he would have taken him aside and just explained to Zach what was going on, Zach's whole problem was not being included and being left out and if you're sneaking around your friends and not including your friends in things that you normally would include them in and things like that, and all of a sudden you're being pushed out, you're being pushed aside, you're not being asked to join any meetings anymore, you're not part of the inner circle anymore. That's what's going to create, suspicion, and what's going to make you think and start questioning, your loyalties and start questioning your friends. So I think it was more of a situation of a real simplicity, element there where, if Garibaldi would have just pulled Zach aside and said simply, hey, look, this is what's going on. I know you're a good guy and I want you to be a part of this. I think that would have changed everything. Zach might have been out of the Night Watch after that.
Yeah,
I agree. That's the lesson, right?
Yep,
exactly.
Very, very
but that's
true.
what's so great about these characters. They're flawed, just like real people, and that's what makes the story so compelling.
Yeah. So, well, guys, great discussion again. Great stream, even though Fiona had to leave us early. Great input all across the board, and the episodes just keep ramping up from. There's more and more to dig into with every episode, seems like. So onward and upward. So thank you all to everybody, to the panel, and to everybody in the chat. Thank you for being here today. And before we close out, I'll let everybody, if you got any projects coming up, any streams or any videos you're going to be releasing and anything, I yield the floor. And gentlemen, do your thing.
Well, I suppose I will be hopefully releasing the third video in the Best Characters of Babylon 5 later on this evening. I'll be releasing another video sometime during next week. Both are finished. It's just I don't want to release both on the same date. And I'm currently working on the 2 videos. I'm almost at 100 subscribers, so woohoo. And I'm working on video.
Congratulations, man. That's cool.
Oh, thank you.
Excellent.
I'm working on the main cast of Babylon 5 as well. The 100 celebration is, I had been working on a video doing a character study of Gollum, but I thought it would be more fun as the 100 celebration to make it an interview. So I have him interviewed talking about the events of Lord of the Rings from his point of view.
I love that idea.
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
Zod, Classic, Koj, what about y'all? You got anything coming up?
Zod, should I go first and then hand it to you?
Yeah, go first, and make sure you mention what's coming up.
Oh, I'm mentioning.
Come on, man. Pow, pow. Go ahead, brother.
All right, so my crazy wacky channel, I have a pro wrestling series that's designed to promote and just give a happy celebration to all my good friends I've met in the movement, and it's a video game gameplay. I run it like a regular pro wrestling show. That's the idea, and I had that season finale on March 17th. That Zod Rider is going to be co-hosting with me, so I'm excited for putting that together, and that'll debut. Stick to my YouTube channel, I'll post it, but it's also pro Babylon 5 because I actually have a Muay Thai tournament and championship, and it's Muay Thai rules just like in TKO. I even have a Babylon 5 arena in there, so if you ever see those matches, especially Monday, I'm going to have Monday Muay Thai fights now, Monday night Muay Thai fights, so you're going to see all the Muay Thai stuff as in TKO, which I was surprised that some people don't like that episode, but whatever. Yeah, so stick around for that, and that's what I do. Thank you.
Yeah, that's exciting stuff. And I do my Zod Rider show every Tuesday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. I got some big things coming up, some really, high quality interviews coming up. So stay tuned for that.
Okay, and my channel is called Classic Comics. I review comics, review TV and film, other genre entertainments. I'll have a review of the latest issue of Detective Comics up later today, and I'll have more reviews coming this weekend.
All excellent guys across the board. Great content and great stuff. Thank you. And well, everybody that's in the chat, if you have not subscribed to these guys, what are you doing? Go subscribe. Go. As for myself,
you sounded just like Emperor Cartagia, I have to say. Good impression.
I can see you with the white glove just commanding people.
Okay, then. Wasn't my intention, but okay. As for me, tomorrow night, I'll be back at 6:30 Central Time. We'll be reviewing the episode 7 of WandaVision, and holy cow, what an episode, I'm just saying. And then we'll be switching over to Twitch and be doing my first view watch party of Batman versus Superman Ultimate Edition. So I've already got the link up on my channel, so go over, smash that like, and make sure you tune in tomorrow night. So, but and I'm working on a couple of little projects. That'll be out sometime this weekend, hopefully, provided I can get them done on time. So one is involved with the MCU, and the other is, well, it's something I haven't been doing in a long time, and well, since Lent has started, it's something I'm going to pick back up with. I'm going to be releasing, more than likely, a pre-recorded message, sermon, whatever you want to call it, during the season of Lent. I'm going to try and do those on Sunday afternoons or Sunday evenings. So also
nice.
keep your eye out for that. So, well, I thought about doing them as live streams, but honestly, I just, as much as I want to, I just don't have the time to stream everything. So I have to do pre-record stuff as well. So, but hopefully y'all will get just as much out of it as recorded as it would be live. So, and of course, next weekend, next Saturday, I'll be doing my director spotlight, continuing that series, and we'll be discussing the film and career of one of the greats, Steven Spielberg. So be sure to tune in for that as well. But again, thank you all for tuning in this afternoon or this evening, wherever you are. And of course, to everybody that'll catch us on the replay, hope you enjoyed the discussion. Make sure you smash that like button. Leave your comments down below in the comments about anything that we discussed, because apparently comments help the algorithm, and well, I want the algorithm to help me. So, and we're closing in on 400 and closing in on 500. So thank you all for supporting the channel, supporting my friends here, my fellow council members, and y'all have a great night, truly and sincerely. And until next time, these are the ambassadors, signing off.